Genetics, frequency, consciousness, how this all fits into a paradigm that allows us to recognise what we are consciously, physically, mentally. So take a tree for example. A tree converts carbon dioxide, we are told, into oxygen. The roots spread deep into the ground where they receive sustenance, nutrients and water. The leaves reach higher into the air where they absorb the light. This dual nature existing beneath the earth and above the earth is the dark and the light, as in the yin and the yang, how both is needed to sustain life. How this translates to humans, within us lies another world of consciousness, our imagination. It is beautiful, and it can be a tool for creation or destruction, depending on our inner work, and as Carl Jung said, the shadow work, as we are not to be controlled by our fears and our angers, and we are to learn to process them, to go within, find what is creating the energies we feel, the patterns that we are bound to, and releasing ourselves from the grip of programming and the existential programming, the existential experience. When we go within, we recognise something, that we are operating at a mode of frequency, i.e. when you were in a low frequency and the bandwidth is wider for the vibration, we receive less thoughts, why some people are more likely to be more relaxed or think less than others. When your frequency is higher, basically you're operating with more tighter frequencies, which means you're having more thoughts per second, which if you're not climatized to, this can be overwhelming. But this can be climatized to by recognizing that you are not 3D, you are multidimensional. What that means is, as in Metatron's cube, that you are many shapes and many forms that are all existing within the same space. And when you are overwhelmed by this multitude and magnitude of possibilities, the quantum state you can feel like things are too much and struggle to cope. But then when you realise that none of these things are controlling you, they are optional, as you don't have to entertain all of it at once. You recognise, and you will begin to recognise and learn that you do not need to invest your energy into any of these. You can actually be present to the beautiful void, which is the space, the shadow, the darkness, where all of these things become manifest with your light and your frequency. So basically you are creating these, but quite often these are created because of programming. So they come into our awareness and you don't know how to tame them, because we're not taught how to tame our multi-dimensional nature. So what this means is to recognizing you are not at the mercy of these thoughts, and actually you are creating every single one of these in the moment, not consciously but subconsciously. Now, when you take control of the subconscious production, you can learn to consciously create space and an empty vacuum where you can just sit in a transient, peaceful existence. And by doing that, it won't happen at once, but by doing that repeatedly in moments each day, you can then start to regulate and do this, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Pick that 10 minutes, make that 10 minutes your own, and make 10 minutes of peace. Now those 10 minutes of peace will start to program the subconscious to recognise that peace. And then what you do is bring that into your day-to-day life, your thinking, your moments. When you consciously choose to access that peace, that state, the void, that's when things become beautiful. The vacuum, we're told above us, space exists and planets are in motion within that space. We are actually taught subconsciously to fear space, because we are told if we go into space that we will die. Our insides will come out through our skins because there's no pressure, there's no gravity. We will just basically explode, and we will also freeze because it's absolute zero. See how that subconsciously programs you to avoid inner space. When we know and learn this, we see the unconscious, subconscious programming that has been pushed and adopted by human consciousness. And this, my friends, is the start of the most beautiful existence that will bloom by not fearing the inner space and by cultivating peace, a peaceful landscape where you can be the Zen master, because all things are within our power in the inner space. When we learn not to fear the most powerful tool that we have on the most powerful creation that we can have, is to create one that is externally we are taught to fear, the inner space where peace resides. From there we can cultivate and we can manage the many thoughts we have, because we don't have to connect to any of them. We can choose to connect with what we like. when we learn to connect to the inner space, the void of tranquility.